CW superstar Greg Berlanti teams up with up-and-comer Sarah Gamble for Lifetime's brand new drama, You. It's a soapy romp through the eyes of a charming psychopath, and we have a lot of thoughts, so stay tuned.
You're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
It's a good song for this show, right?
Yes.
A little bit of Beyonce.
It took me a minute to find the...
I think it's safe to say that Joe is crazy in love. What do you guys think?
Just a tad.
Just a tad. In case you guys didn't know, Joe is the protagonist of Lifetime's brand new show, You, which we will be reviewing today on TV Pilot Reviews. Before we dive into the show, guys, I want you to know TV Pilot Reviews is a show where we review a brand new pilot every week. We're not an after show, though we do have an after show for you. Sam, are you on it?
I am.
Sam is on it. Great. So she's had definitely seen the pilot even probably before we had. But today we're just reviewing the pilot to You. We're letting you know whether you should pass or play on Lifetime's brand new scripted drama. And before we get into the show, we should introduce ourselves. Guys, my name is Jeff. I'm not alone because Sam Davidson is here.
Hello, everyone. So excited to talk about this show.
And DeAnJilo Friday is here.
I'm here. Hello.
All right. Just so you guys know, today we'll be talking about the show in two different segments. We're going to have a spoiler-free segment. So for those of you who don't want to know much going into the show but want to get our overall take, you'll get that first. Then we will get into spoilers, and we'll get into some of the development history of the show. And the longer you listen, the more spoilers you're going to get. So you've been warned. Let's talk about Lifetime's You. But before we do, we actually have a trailer that we're queuing up right now.
Just off for a quick second.
Great,
I'm expecting this trailer to be really good.
Yes.
I'm
we have
even
a
excited
to
see the trailer.
Just when you said that, I was like, oh my God.
There's
this
something
trailer's
kind of
so
fun
good.
about watching the show first, and then watching the trailer
I think
second.
so too. But this show, it has to have a good trailer.
Oh, it's an
based on
amazing.
the
I've been
type of show
watching it
is.
for the past 4 months.
Maybe before we get into the trailer, we can go. Okay, we're good to go. All right, we are going to watch the trailer right now.
Just all again.
Okay, so we are having a couple tech difficulties on our end, guys. I think what we could do is get into our overall thoughts before we get into the trailer.
Yes.
Sam, since you've already seen it, you can go ahead and go first.
What, you guys haven't seen it?
Well, since you have
know the
probably seen
conclusion?
it, you've probably seen it twice now, right?
Yes.
Wait, I don't know the backstory here. Why have you seen it already?
She's on the after show.
Yeah, I'm on the after show.
Oh.
So I really, really liked it. I was pleasantly surprised. I kind of came into it at first. I saw it at Paley Fest actually on Sunday in this theater, and I thought, oh God, Penn Badgley again playing the same role. I was so judgmental. And then as it just creeped up on me, I loved the narrative, and it's based on a book, and I loved feeling like I was reading a book. So I liked
Alrighty,
it.
folks, we're good to go.
Let's get to our overall thoughts, and then we'll watch the trailer after that.
Cool.
So, DeAnJilo, what did you
I
think?
was going to add that it was, it's a hot guy in it. I know you're big on
Yes.
I know, it's a problem. Judgment.
that. No, I'm being slightly shady, but not that much. It's a good show. I definitely was not expecting much from it because it said Lifetime.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed his character. He pretty much pulled me in from the beginning. So I haven't not liked the show in a while. I need to work on that.
I know.
I need to find my inner Linda. Linda, we love you.
Yes. This show's good. I mean, it's definitely doing what it promises.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's not pretending that it's the most sophisticated show on television,
Right.
but that's kind of awesome because there's so many super serious shows right now. And I think this show has sort of a light touch. It's pretty funny, which I really
is funny.
appreciate. There's a lot of satire and I think a show like this really hangs on the performances of its two leads. And I will say, I didn't know anything about Penn Badgley before this, but he's very good.
Yeah.
I think they really cast this lead well.
That's interesting just to hear your thoughts, because I mean, I've spent hundreds of hours probably in front of the television watching him on Gossip Girl, so I can't even tell if he's good anymore.
Right.
This is similar to his character in Gossip Girl?
It is what it later, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I just thought, I think in the wrong hands, this is a cringy performance.
Agreed. That voiceover stuff, you got to be
so
good
much
at that.
voiceover, and he really, I think, delivered.
I agree.
And
He did that in Gossip Girl though too, and I mean,
Nice.
it was a safe choice for them.
Yeah.
But it worked.
Okay. Well, with all that being said, I'm excited to watch the trailer. We're going to watch it right now.
Who are you?
Hello.
Guinevere?
Everyone just calls me Beck. And you're...
Just Joe.
Did you move here to be something? I did, but it's not Orgy, not everyone gets what being a writer means. You think I'm unremarkable?
Unremarkable people don't worry about being unremarkable.
But tonight, you just need to know who you really are. You are special. You're talented. You're passionate. You're smart. But you have questionable taste in friends. Professor Obvious wants to sleep with you. There are scary people in the world. It's important to be safe. All I want to do is help. It's why I have to do what I'm about to do. Everything I do to protect you.
I like who I am with you.
I would do anything for you.
Not a great trailer.
What?
I was sucked in.
You got me.
Were you?
tripping.
Yeah.
I think the show is much better than the trailer.
Okay.
Well, yeah.
But that trailer was good.
I don't know. I didn't do it for me. That's fair though. Okay, so it sounds like overall, let's do our pass or play. We've given our overall thoughts. So just if you're tuning in for the first time, we do what we call our pass or play. We let you know whether or not we are personally going to watch the show and whether or not we would recommend audiences watch this show.
So I'm probably still going to pass because of the long laundry list of things that I have to watch.
Too cool
It's
for
good.
Lifetime.
No, it's really good. I have no real justifiable reason to pass other than the fact that I have other shows I need to watch.
That's fair.
And I feel guilt with like watching everything.
Yeah.
Something has to go.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be this. So I guess it wasn't good enough, but it's good. But I would definitely recommend it for other people.
Yeah.
It's a play for me. But this is my genre of things, you know, a female driven mystery. Crazy, but I love it. I'm excited.
I think this is the kind of show I'm going to keep watching it until I just don't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm in enough to definitely watch the second one. I just got married and I feel like it's the kind of show I could watch with my wife. Like I feel like we would
Yes.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
But I think for anyone who's a fan of sort of soapy, you know, twisty, if you like Gone Girl, that kind of content, I think this is the kind of show for you. And I
Yeah.
think there's a version of this show that's much worse than what we saw. So overall, I was pretty pleasantly
Wait, side
surprised.
note before we move on.
Yeah.
Has he had glasses on since he's gotten married? Are there no glasses anymore? Or is this just like post
I wore
marriage?
them last week.
Did you? Okay.
was
gonna
actually
make a
just
big
thinking
deal out
that.
of this.
I have my contacts in, but
But say just
it's
Jeff.
just they get
Sorry.
dry. 'Cause
For
it's Los
listeners,
Angeles.
we're just questioning
Yeah.
Jeff.
No,
right
I
now.
love
Poor
I
Jeff.
love Jeff without the glasses. I'm gonna say he's like a new man now.
That's what everyone says. You know?
Married
I'm done.
now.
Okay, so I found a quote that I really liked in a review by Margaret Lyons, who reviewed this for the New York Times. She was talking about how all the characters in the show are pretty terrible people, but there's a lot of shows with terrible people that don't handle them right, and I think this show handles them right. And here's what she has to say. You is the name of the show. The show knows that all these characters are terrible, and it also knows that the real fight isn't against terribleness, it's against boringness. You is never boring, which sounds like faint praise, but in an era of glassy dramas defined by sad man montages, weary characters standing dead still in moody showers, and bewildering mysteries that are often just covers for poor characterization, this show is a relief.
I don't think that. I mean, I think yes, there's a couple bad people, but I
I'm
don't
with
think
you,
all
Sam.
of them. We don't know that yet. Maybe they will be.
We
Maybe
have
she's
one
seen more than us.
Justifiable terrible character.
Yeah.
But I think everyone else seems
Normal.
relatable
You know, that's...
Flawed.
and flawed. Yeah, relatable and flawed.
I want to talk about the characters now, so I think at this point we're going to drop our spoiler alert. You've gotten enough of sense of what the show is.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler
The,
alert!
the thing I liked was I kind of felt like they were all deliberately terrible. Like in the sense of like all of these people were caricatures of like the entitled millennial New Yorkers. And like to me there was this huge undercurrent of satire
Definitely.
that was making fun of our like obsession with social media and our narcissistic personalities. And for those of you guys who may or may not have seen the show, we're following a stalker who is using social media to kind of infiltrate a woman's life that he's in love with. But the thing that I love is that she isn't noticing because she herself is pretty narcissistic. And all these characters are narcissistic enough that it allows him the chance to stalk.
That's true.
Interesting. Well, so you would consider her narcissistic. So then
Yeah.
would you argue that most people are narcissistic then? Because I feel like
Yeah.
she's normal.
Because I think most people are. Like, I think the show is really astutely identifying our generation that thinks it's so self-aware, but can live in a world where we can literally have someone stalking us and no one's going to notice.
I just think that I don't know, narcissism versus being like selfish or self-involved are kind of different. Narcissists, I think, are kind of nut jobs, and you know, the douchebag hipster boyfriend that owns his soda company or whatever.
His artisanal soda company.
Yeah, he's a douche and not probably and a narcissist. But I don't know, the other characters, I just think they're probably young and immature and.
Her friends, though, when it's like, bestie, like, we're FaceTiming, like, come, you gotta see us in Bushwick.
You know so many
like,
girls like that, though.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I think the show is riding a line where these are recognizable caricatures, which is actually what I really appreciate. Like, I feel like the show is this broader commentary on stalking, because the lens through which he's stalking is something that all of us are doing every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like very scarily, like a very easy, like approachable. Like what he's doing is very believable. Yeah, like how he's doing it. It's and it's very accessible.
And one of the things that's so cool about his character is that some of the things he says in his head, you think, I've said those things in my head before.
Right.
I mean, that's not, if we're just following his inner narrative, God, what would mine be?
Yeah.
It could possibly be crazy like that sometimes too. Not that far, but you know what I mean.
Well, for those listening, we do like to talk about how these shows were developed because I think it's an interesting conversation. Greg Berlanti is a name, if you don't know, you probably should know. I'd say like along with like Shonda Rhimes and Ryan Murphy, he's like in the top tier of show creators today.
Yeah.
Sort of like our generation's Norman Lear. A lot of what he produces is CW superhero content, but he's also an EP on Riverdale, right? Mm-hmm. I think, is there a show on CW that he's not an executive producer on? Like,
I think he was a big part of Riverdale also. You know, he's been around for so long and people have not recognized him a lot, which is weird because you should look at his IMDb. It's crazy.
Well, because he also wrote and directed Love, Simon, which was such a huge hit. This show feels like it's up his alley.
Yes, 100%.
He co-created it with a new kind of up-and-coming writer named Sarah Gamble, who's written for a show like The Magicians and Supernatural. So I think two like minds working at the peak of their craft, and I think doing it really well. Lifetime rushed the series once they read the pilot, and they ordered a second season before it even dropped.
Yeah.
Which is pretty interesting.
It's right up Lifetime's alley. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But still, like, better than what I expected.
I mean, I kind of thought to myself, did they want to be at Lifetime? I'm sure that was not their MO. They probably saw it somewhere else. And so Lifetime, I'm thinking, offered them a lot of money in a second season.
Yeah. Right.
Because it's also the place where you can create yourself.
Here's what I'll say. I feel like pre-Unreal Lifetime, they might not have been attracted to the network, but post-Unreal Lifetime, Unreal, I think, made Lifetime a legitimate scripted network.
Agreed.
Because it's interesting, DeAnJilo, you're saying, because I get it, but you're saying, like, it's Lifetime, it's not for me, but...
I'm still stuck on, like, my image of Lifetime growing up.
For sure.
That's the last time I've ever looked at Lifetime, so...
I will say, I feel like their niche is, like... This show is way better than it should be. Like, if I had to describe Lifetime, I think their tagline would be much better than it needs to be.
Or it's like, we're really dark women, but we're interesting. You know, it always follows very dark female things, which...
Well, and if you look at the creators they're attracting, like Unreal was Marty Noxon, who's kind of like the female Greg Berlanti. Like, she is such a juggernaut. I mean, she created Sharp Objects, which we reviewed on this show, and Buffy, I mean, among other things. I think, like, there's sort of this, like, sneaky, like... smart, like silly smart network in a way. And I think this show's kind of up those alleys where it seems like this light soapy summer show, but there's some, I think, deeper stuff going on beneath the surface of what we're seeing. Speaking of, let's talk about Penn Badgley because he plays Joe Goldberg, who is our title character and our stalker. What do you guys think of his performance?
Oh, he did his thing. He's like charming, but like a horrible person at the same time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, accomplishing that duality in one episode is really impressive.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very familiar to me. Like I said, there are so many girls out there that have watched Gossip Girl on repeat. It's on Netflix, you know, it's one of those shows. And so I feel like I can't really say what I want to. I'm just going to say this, is that at the end of Gossip Girl, this was a show that had been along for such a long time. They didn't know what to do with it at all. And the narrative of the show is there is a person that is stalking / harassing people under the pseudonym of Gossip Girl and posting it on a website. It's like everyone's, you know, dirty laundry. And at the end of the series, you know, ends up being someone very stocky, similar to this man on the show. And then the show ended, and you would rewatch the old episodes and think, I never saw that made any sense. So it's essentially a fan fiction to me of what his character would have done in the real world. And I'm like, okay, because you find out this crazy stuff about a character you've known for 7 years, and then it ends. And he literally, this is his first role. He just picked up
right where it left off.
the same exact thing.
It's also it's weird because I found myself rooting for him throughout the episode.
I know.
So you feel so conflicted internally.
Well, so I was at Paley Fest the other day, and I was at a panel where the creators and Penn Badgley and Elizabeth Lale were there, and he said he was really scared about making himself too charming, which is, funny.
What a humble thing to say.
But he's right.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, that's so necessary, though. And that's why I have to applaud his performance, because, this show does not work if we're not kind of on his team. An anti-hero show like this, he is our voice. He's our window into the show, just as Walter White is for Breaking Bad, or I'm watching The Americans right now, which is so good, by the way, if you haven't seen it. But if you're watching an anti-hero show, these performances have to be charming and likable, or you're not going to stick around.
Right.
Let's talk about his co-star, Elizabeth Lale, who's playing Beck.
I interviewed her. I didn't even realize this. A year and a half ago, there was a show called Dead of Summer on Freeform. And she was lovely, but she turned into a creepy character. And I was so impressed with her by the end of the series. And I was excited to see her in this. I think that she's going to, that girl can do some crazy things on camera. Let me just say, she has some darkness in her. And I really hope they bring it out in this show.
Yeah. Have any of you guys read the book on which the show is based?
I'm going to.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because we always talk about the writing of these shows. It's sort of the next category of critique we talk about. This show, I think one of the reasons it's working as well as it is because it's pretty sharply written. I always talk about how humor is such an important component to me enjoying a show. I think this show would have been boring and kind of a drag if it wasn't funny.
Oh, yeah. No, I wouldn't say of course, but yeah, I agree. It brings a nice extra wrinkle to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, I will say, when you look at other, serious stalker shows, if you're not laughing, all of a sudden they have this sense of self-importance. I look at A Sharp Objects, which I know you guys liked. I kind of had trouble with that show because it was such a drag. And you look at a show like this, which I think is, in some ways, exploring some of the same themes. But when there's a sense of lightness to it, you're more compelled to, jump onto the train, I think.
I'm with you there. I don't remember if I was here for Sharp. I might not have been here for Sharp Objects, but... like I said, that's my genre, and I was a little disappointed.
Kind of bleak.
Yes.
And a show can still be bleak and funny at the same time. And that's this show, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's about a serious thing, and I know things are going to continue to get more dark and more serious, but it's just so absurd. I mean, they've already, put their sword. It's we're going to be absurd. He was jacking off outside of her apartment.
That was hilarious.
And he's letting the old lady out, taking her freaking walker, covering his boner. I mean, it was so great. Funny and disturbing, but I like that. That's why we watch TV.
Right. It also I kept thinking the guy version of Gone Girl.
Yeah. I was definitely getting the same vibes. Definitely got some Gone Girl vibes. That's another thing that was kind of weird for me and a little disarming, was watching a Lifetime show with F words and nudity. It's still weird for me when I'm watching cable, when I'm not watching premium cable, and you hear racial slurs or you hear F-bombs. Does that still jar you guys at all, or no?
It was bleeped out in my episode.
Was it?
It was weird. Yeah, everything that was bad was bleeped out.
Yeah, when you watched it on Lifetime the way it aired, it's not, which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
If anything, it just excites me. I'm oh,
yeah,
it's like someone tickled my back or something.
It was a lot in there too. I could tell because it was a lot of stuff getting bleeped. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, I feel like there's only so much to talk about with the show because I think most of the show's kind of experiencing it. I don't know. I mean, talking about thematically, we've touched on it, but I really like, if you're going to tell a stalker narrative, almost like a Hitchcockian one, I kind of got a modern Hitchcock vibe. I really liked the fact that we so casually throw around the term social media stalking in our world. And I feel like this author's leaning into that and saying well, what if we brought that to its most extreme?
Yeah.
Well, and I do find it fascinating. You can find, I don't know if you guys have ever stalked yourselves. Have you guys ever? It's a girl thing. I'm not the only person that stalked themselves.
Searched myself.
If I go to like the beginning of my Facebook from the first picture I have ever posted, and I've done this, and it's my own photo book, and you go all the way, and think about how many people actually would do that.
Right.
And you'd be shocked to know that there are quite a few that, you know, saw you doing a beer bong freshman year of college and I had one guy that randomly commented on a photo I took like 10 years ago, and I was like, oh my God.
That is true. It's like when you're on Instagram scrolling and you accidentally like a picture that's like 4 years old.
I know.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen that meme where it's like the operation board and it's someone like really, and it's like when you're 4 years deep into someone's Instagram. It's so funny. But that's what I sort of love about the show is like, on one hand, of course, this guy's a psychopath. She's not asking for this. But when we post so much of ourselves so publicly on social media, we're a little complicit in the ability for someone to stalk us.
He's standing out the window and he's like, has she seen any movie or watched the news? And I love that they put that in there because it's kind of like, he's self-aware of like his craziness.
Well, and it was actually funny because during the panel, Elizabeth Lyle said, everyone keeps on saying, why doesn't she close her curtains? And I keep on saying, well, why is there someone outside of my apartment?
But that's what I love, though, is I kind of view that as a symbolic gesture of our own social media presence.
For sure.
Like, we're the kinds of people who will get creeped out when someone knows too much about us, but then post a whole range of public photos about everything we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It's the exact same thing when someone says, why were they staring at my windows? And it's like, well, why were you changing at 9 p.m. in a well-lit apartment on a first-story walk-up with your windows open?
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that was a very deliberately symbolic moment for us to not only reflect on the characters but ourselves of how unintentionally narcissistic we are with our social media presence.
Yeah.
The show's smart. Like, I think the show's smarter than it needs to be, which again, I think maybe should be the tagline for Lifetime.
Why does it, need to be? It's smarter than everyone thinks it is.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like people would probably tune in regardless because the show's fun. But when it sneaks in those nuggets of wisdom, it's like, okay, this show can be for more than just people who love soapy twists, you know?
You guys should have seen me in the audience, like, watching this for the first time. There was a guy in front of me that was a little obnoxious, and he kept on cheering, and I'd be like, whoa, like, right behind him. I was loving seeing it on a huge screen, and I was so excited because I need a new show.
Well, we have some other things to talk about, but before we move on, any last thoughts on you? Lifetime's you.
You. No, I don't think I have anything.
With that, what do you guys think are some other shows or movies or art that if you like A, you will like you?
Gone Girl is definitely my go-to.
Gone Girl.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, probably Pretty Little Liars, Gossip Girl. Like, those fans will like this show for sure.
Don't you almost feel like this show was designed for the high schoolers who watch Pretty Little Liars and Gossip Girl?
And now they're adults.
Yeah. And so it's like, this is like the late 20s version of that show.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I'm sure they like leaned into that as producers when they were.
That's me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, but that's why we're here for it. Yeah, I think maybe even like a Big Little Lies.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Like if you like the kind of upscale shade, like I feel like that's some of this too. Cool. Well, now we rate the pilot out of 5. Sam, let's start with you.
I'm going to give it a 4.3.
Whoa, that's pretty high.
It's high for me, I know.
I gotta go. It was good. It was really good, but
Yeah.
I'll probably go like 3.8.
I'm going to go
Nice.
4 exactly.
Wow. Those are pretty good scores.
Somewhere Linda's side-eyeing right now.
I know.
I feel like Linda would have... Do you think she would have hated this?
I don't know. She's a wild card.
I think
She
she
really
would have
is.
liked it. Linda's so hard to predict, though.
I still can't get over her going in on what were we
Making
watching?
it.
Yeah, the Toolbox show or whatever it's
That
called.
woman has the best poker face I've ever seen in my life.
She does.
That was great. Linda, we obviously miss you.
Miss
We
you.
miss you, Linda. Yes. Okay. So with that, I think that was our discussion of you. Any last thoughts before we wrap out, y'all?
Well, we're going to be doing the after show on Mondays at 7 p.m. here at AfterBuzz, so please check it out.
Absolutely. And Sam's on that one, so you can get more brilliant commentary from our very own. With a show like this, I'm always curious to hear what you guys think. So if you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you feel like it's living in the right place, that's all stuff we're super curious about. We'd love for you to jump in the comments and let us know your thoughts. If you're listening on podcasts and you're not so much of a YouTube person, we'd ask that you tweet at us.
Yes.
If you'd like to tweet at me, you can do that at Jeffrey C. Graham. How about the rest of you guys?
You can find me, Sam Davidson, at SamD43 and SamDavidsonEntertainment.com.
And I'm DeAnJilo. You can hit me up on Twitter at DeAnJilo TV or on Instagram at DeAnJilo.
Awesome. And just so you guys know, we're here every Wednesday at 9 p.m. reviewing new pilots each week. We are entering fall TV, which means there's going to be lots and lots of pilots. So if there's anything that you guys specifically want reviewed, let us know. You can tweet at us or tweet at the network, and we'll make sure that it happens. For now, guys, we will see you next week here on AfterBuzz TV.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Keven Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.